Well, howdy folks. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to give you guys a quick 10-cent tour of the old Scout here and give you guys a quick update on this thing. I gave y'all a little teaser in the last video that I've been doing some work to this thing. And, well, I figured I'm not going to bother you guys with all the boring details of it. I'll just give you guys the tour. So, start right up here at the front. Nothing's really changed up on the front here. But the big thing, well, one of the big things, if I can open this hood. There we go. One of the big things with this thing, you guys know I'm still rocking the old slant 4 152 cubic inch international engine here. And if you guys saw the last video with this thing in it, I had an issue with the fuel pump. And well, one of the first things I did is I went ahead and fixed the fuel pump. So we're running back on the mechanical fuel pump instead of the little electric clicky-clacky fuel pump that I was running. Nothing else really new up here except for I picked up a new speedometer cable from Classic Scout Parts. That was a direct fit. That thing works great. I was just rocking around the little neighborhood here, and yeah, we have a speedometer, so that's awesome. Otherwise, everything's as it was under the hood. I should find my strap to put on that battery so it doesn't fall out. Going through it, I did a pinion seal on the front axle. That thing, oil went in and it went straight out the pinion, so put a new pinion seal in. It seems to be holding. Fun fact, she has a muffler now. This thing's nice and quiet. You guys might recall it was pretty rowdy, so yeah, I wanted to take care of that. Here's where the big changes start coming in. It's a whole new world in here. You guys will remember the seat was all ratty and torn up, and I didn't do a lot to fix it other than I picked up this canvas stuff in town, and I got some foam. So I glued foam down on this seat and then put this canvas over it, and it actually turned out really nice. For a guy that's never done upholstery, I'm pretty impressed with it. That side was super bagged out. It's got a ton of broken springs under there, and I threw a 2x4 under there to kind of pick this end up, so it's a lot better now. It feels a lot better to drive now with that. The seat's not so bagged out feeling. That doesn't really fix it in the long term because, you know, it's a 2x4 under the seat, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with it. Another big thing I did is I painted the floors. I wire wheeled the floors, vacuumed it all. I used Osvo, which is kind of a rust eater is what it's supposed to be. And then I wire wheeled it again, vacuumed it again, and then I lined it all with this. This paint is called like Exo Rust or something. You're supposed to be able to paint it over the rust, and it's not a long-term fix, but it's a fix for the time being, you know. It's still, you know, it is what it is, but I found this mat kicking around, threw it in here. It works perfect on the passenger side, and then I have this rubber mat on the driver's side. That was in my parts scout when I got it. You might notice I picked up a shift knob for the transmission. What I had on it before was just an old transfer case shift knob. It was kind of dinky feeling, so I went ahead and did that. Another thing, you guys can't see it, but, well, I put new screws in on the shift boots. But another thing I did, I went back through the transmission and transfer case. I went back through the transmission, and I put new bearings in it, input, output, all new roller bearings in the counter shaft, and all new rollers in the input shaft and all that jazz. So the transmission should be good to go. I know it was in a video a while ago. I did go through the transmission previously, just made sure nothing was broken, and then I just slapped it back together. That was kind of my short-term fix, but of course in the long term I wanted to do exactly this. Go back through the transmission and put all new bearings in it. Now the transmission should be 100%. Another thing is I found another transfer case. And what I found was a transfer case that was actually in a Scout. Long story short, the transfer case that had been in this thing was not a Scout transfer case. I'm almost 100% certain that the old transfer case in this thing came out of a Jeep, because it has a Brown Lipey tag on it. And Brown Lipey was a brand that Spicer owned, and they stopped using that name, as far as I could tell, in the early 50s. The old transfer case also had the pivot ball on it for a Jeep, because Jeeps had the clutch pivot. One of the pivot points was the transfer case. And Scout transfer cases never had that, of course, because Scouts have a hydraulic clutch. Or at least this Scout has a hydraulic clutch. Not all of them had hydro clutches. But yeah, I went through otherwise and threw in new seals in that transfer case. It was supposed to have been recently rebuilt and it looked the part. So I just cleaned it up good, threw new seals in it, and it seems good to go. So I'm pretty pleased with that. You can see my parking brake cables dangling down there. I'll need to do something about that. While I had it in the warm space to work, I went back through the rear end. I didn't go back through it, but I jacked it up, shook everything, made sure the wheel bearings were tight, gave everything a good check over, just because the way this rear end was when I went through it last time, I wasn't super, well, I didn't really trust it all that much. So yeah, I went back through that. Rear end's still pretty peachy. Now, we have taillights now, and I know I had the lenses on last summer, but what I actually have now are taillights. Another thing we have that I never had before, you might see, we have dash gauge backlights. So all I actually had to do here was replace all the bulbs. They were all burned out. So we have gauge backlights now and taillights. So I've got brake lights and I've got running lights. What I don't have are turn signals yet. And the turn signal issue, I'm pretty sure, is somewhere behind the dash. But what I had to do is run all new wires from the dimmer switch all the way back to here. That included replacing the wire for the fuel sending unit. The fuel sending unit is bad, so I'll have to do something about that. Another thing about the fuel tank is I got a fuel filler finally. So that's a pretty clean and spiffy unit that I picked up from Binder Boneyard. And this eliminates the old style that these Scouts had. And these Scouts had basically a one-piece rubber hose that came out here, and then you can see the flange that just clamped that one-piece rubber hose to the side of the Scout. And I'm not really a fan of the fact that you can see where that used to be, as opposed to this, which you can see where the old fuel filler was. But what this design does is it eliminates the need to have a special one-of-a-kind sort of deal for your fuel filler. Because, of course, this Scout is 63 years old now. So the rubber fuel filler was all cracked up. It was junk. And yeah, when I took the fuel tank out, when I first got this thing, that just shattered into a million pieces. So this is a good design. So if in the future I need to replace that fuel filler hose, I just need a 90-degree rubber angle that's this size, that's fuel resistant hose, which would be easier to find than a special International Harvester part. So yeah, we've got a fuel filler now. I can actually whip up to the gas station, dump fuel in this thing, and not have to. I had a system to get fuel in this thing. It was pretty jank. Not a whole lot to show you from over here. Oh yeah, Binder Boneyard with that fuel filler sent out this awesome tag. I'm super pleased with that. Interior's just clean. I've got so much junk thrown back there, parts, odds, ends, going through that transmission. Every time I touch a drivetrain part on this Scout, it is such a can of worms, I swear to God. And we've got front running light. That one used to work. I swear it worked like 10 minutes ago. What a pain. Oh, there we go. Bad ground, I guess. So I'll need to double check that. I thought that was good to go. Apparently it's not. Amazing. Anywho, yeah, I'm super excited that I have functional lights. Painting the floors was a huge upgrade for this thing. That makes the interior of the Scout look so much cleaner, even though what I didn't want to do is like paint the transmission tunnel cover. I really like the look of this Scout. I'm gonna try and clean up the paint a little bit here, but I mean, this thing, she's showing her age and I like it. So yeah, I wanted to preserve the floors a little bit. Obviously, trust me, I know that's not gonna stop the rust. The rust is still there, but it should slow it down, which is what I'm after here for right now. Oh yeah, we'll give you guys a listen to the 4-cylinder with the muffler. Let's see if she'll just fire right up. Oh yeah. What a beauty. This thing is so quiet and peaceful to drive now. So like I said, the turn signals still don't work, and I think that's something in the behind the dash wiring. It almost might actually just be that the flasher's bad. Honestly, I haven't checked yet. Once I got all the wiring secured from the back forward, I just said, you know, heck with it. I got a new dimmer switch as well. I actually found a new old stock dimmer switch on eBay, and it was only like $5 more than buying a brand new one. And I was like, you know, we'll go with the old Made in America dimmer switch. So all new wires. The one thing I'm missing obviously is I got to grommet that, or wire loom that section of wiring. This is a high wear area because certain elements are here, which I don't think was the greatest design, but I guess if it works, it works, I guess. So I'll grommet that up, or wire loom these wires up so they're not just dangling there in the future. I really just drove this thing up and down the road real quick to give her a quick shakedown. But, yeah, still a ton of work to do on this thing. The driver's side door still doesn't close all the way easily. I can get it to close, but it's not fun. So, driver's side door. I still haven't put the cover plate back over the fuel tank. Like I said, the fuel sending unit is bad, so I'm going to fix that and then put the cover plate back on. I want to do that before I'm ever putting some real miles on this thing, because, of course, the tire throws all sorts of junk up behind the fuel tank there, which you don't want. Man, I've done so much work on this thing. Turn signals still need to be fixed. I'm glad I went through the steering column last summer, so that's should be pretty good to go. I still need all the ducting for the heater box and whatnot. It's Alaska, it's cold out. Probably want a functional heater. Otherwise, man, I'm that close to putting her back on the road and at least trying to sort of daily drive it. I know it's been a long road, and I'm really ready for that, but man, this thing is so close. I can't really think of a whole lot else that I need to do other than the turn signals, patching up the bodywork and whatnot. Like, man, I got a lot of work done and not a lot of time here in the past couple weeks, so yeah. Anyways, there's a quick update for you guys. Sorry I didn't really film much of the work, but like I said, it's all nitty gritty, just odds and ends, stuff I've shown already with this thing. I mean, frankly, who really wants to watch all that again? I mean, pulling the transmission and transfer case, it gets boring after a while, let's be honest. So anyways, there's an update for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys dig this thing as much as I do. I can't wait to be able to drive this thing. The goal is sort of daily driving this thing a little bit over the summer, which is like, yeah, that's going to be a big thing for me. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you like the content, you know, like, subscribe, all the shenanigans and all that stuff. And well, I'll catch you guys on the next one.